first off, what we're talking about today is churn. If you're not familiar with what churn is, we're going to go over the definition of what churn is, how to approach it in your business, how to reduce it, the significance it has in your business, and then we'll be taking some Q&A that you guys will have, hopefully, through the course of this webinar here. If you have to get out of here early, that's no problem. This webinar is being recorded. You can also grab the slides from the GoToWebinar control panel on the right-hand side of your screen. It's entitled How to Reduce Subscriber Churn, and it's the PDF document that is just the slides that we're going to go through today. So I'm going to go ahead and kick this thing off. We usually give a little bit of a grace period, but because we started a couple minutes late here, we're just going to go ahead and get this started. And this is a little bit longer of a webinar. We'll be here for 60 minutes, but we got a lot of material we got to go through. So like I said, if you do have questions going through this, just drop it in the question section of the GoToWebinar control panel, and we'll answer those at the end of the session here. A few things. Take a moment to meet us. If this is the first webinar with us, we do a lot of webinars at Subscription School. That's me on the left-hand side of the screen. My name's Jesse Richardson. I'm a subscription commerce expert. I've been doing this for about 7 years now. My first company was ConsciousSbox, and nowadays I'm working with Subscription School, which is powered by Cratejoy. For those of you who might not know, Cratejoy is a software platform and newly a marketplace for subscription boxes, and so they make it really simple for you to start any type of subscription business, and then they also help you market it, which is pretty cool. Some other things that you should check out is subscriptionschool.com. So if you haven't already checked this out, we can head over to it real quick. Subscriptionschool.com, you can find a bunch of guides, videos, more webinars like this, resources on packaging, on shipping, on design, on even legal and financial stuff. A lot of really good resources at subscriptionschool.com. We've also got an awesome Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/subscriptionschool. It's a closed group, so you got to request entry. But after this webinar today, I'll be sure to go through and make sure that you got in if you were in this webinar here. And then also like us on Facebook, and that's just facebook.com/subscriptionschool. If you have questions about how to use Cratejoy, I always suggest going to the Cratejoy knowledge base. That's the link you see at the bottom of your page here, forum.cratejoy.com. And if you have any other questions on the Cratejoy platform, feel free to reach out to us at support@cratejoy.com too. All right, now that we're done with that, we can really jump into this here. So let me first, before we jump into the subject material totally, let's look at a brief overview, and then I'm going to ask you guys a couple questions. Like I said earlier, today we want to really talk about why churn is important and what it is and how it impacts your business. Then we're going to go over 6, actually I think this might be 7 at this point, different ideas for understanding, approaching, and reducing churn. And there's going to be some things that you can do like right now to get started on this. And then there's also an infographic that I'll direct you guys towards. It's located on subscriptionschool.com. And then tackle this assignment that we're going to give you today too. Okay, so what I want to do first is I want to launch a poll here, and I want to know this. It'll show up on your screen here. It's what churn are you experiencing? So if you're using Cratejoy, you can see this right in your dashboard. And if you just log into my.cratejoy.com, you can look at your churn rate. It'll say right up at the top there. If you're not using Cratejoy, depending on the platform you use, it might be reporting that for you, or you might have to kind of determine that yourself. If you don't know, you don't have to answer this, but let me know if you do know what churn rate you think you're having right now. And I'll leave this up here for a couple moments. Okay, so it looks like we've got about most everybody here voted, so I'm gonna go ahead and close this. Thanks for answering that, and I'll share these results with you guys so you can kind of know who you're hanging out with in here. So it looks like most people are between 11 and 15%, which is great. That's actually a pretty good range, and that's one of the things we'll go over today too. Is what's a good range of churn? It looks like we got some people that are above that, and so for those of you who are in those basically 11 and up to 20% or higher, you'll definitely get a lot of cool stuff to do today to start to address that churn. Let's see here. I will hold off these next couple of questions as we go through these slides. So let's go ahead and present this. I'm going to close the tabs here. Okay, so before we start really diving into how we're approaching churn, there's one thing I want to get clear from the beginning, since it's kind of easy to get lost in the metric itself and be focused on a number. One of the things I want to really emphasize is the mentality of approaching churn and understanding how it actually has a relationship with your business. It's not just a metric that you want to lower necessarily. It is a metric you want to lower, obviously, but it has a more dynamic relationship with how you're doing business on the day-to-day basis. So as we go through this, keep in mind that there's a relationship between customer experience or subscriber experience, their experience with you, with your product, with your customer support, um, with any problems that they have, anything like that, and the amount of churn you have for your business. I found that these things are very closely connected. There can be some big problems at times where it's maybe just a big slip up in the product, or it's not the right product market fit, and you have a lot of churn with a certain subscriber base. But out of like these kind of outlier cases where you might see large churn for some kind of maybe extraordinary reason, like you acquired a bunch of customers from the wrong place, the kind of the average churn that you see in your business and how that affects your business is going to be from like it's going to be from your normal customers, and it's going to be what you're going to start to expect your kind of your baseline churn that you see. And so as we go through this, I don't mean to go on and on about that, but as we go through this, the thing to really remember is that the best acts of customer service, the tiny things that reinforce your customer's loyalty. Customer loyalty can be thought of as the inverse of churn. It's a customer retention. And these things can be done daily. Most of them are very cheap to do. And it fosters customer retention, increases satisfaction, and there are some ways that we'll show you here that'll even help you grow your customer base with that. And so that quote that I kind of just ruined right there was actually from Peter Shankman. But let's talk about this. So what is churn? Like I said, you can see it in your CreateJoy dashboard. There's a little screenshot up in the top right corner there. Churn is the rate of attrition, or it's the percentage rate at which subscribers are going to be canceling their subscription with your box. So think of this like the number of accounts you need to cancel each month. Like this is what comes of that. Retention's the inverse of that. So retention is the percentage of people who didn't cancel. So it's retention is what you want to focus on. Churn is what you want to reduce, while retention is what you want to increase. But they're two sides of the same coin. Why does it matter? It's because churn's the biggest threat to your business. Like hands down, more than like I feel like procurement, or more than messing up with your packing 1 month, or more than you not becoming a great email marketer. Like there's all these things that are difficult about business, right? The most important thing is the rate at which people stop using your product, because fundamentally that means the rate at which you lose money, and when the business doesn't become viable. So in terms of like priorities of like what should I be doing with my business, reducing churn and figuring out what's driving high churn, if you have it, is extremely important. Here's a graph that proves it. And it kind of shows you how churn can impact a business over time too, and how it compounds on your success. So if you see this graph, this is from Zoho. So thanks Zoho for this graph you guys put out there. It does a nice job of illustrating churn. So as you can see on the left, on the x-axis, we have the number of customers. So it's going from 0 to 10,000, and on the bottom, on the y, we have the number of months. Hopefully I got those axes correct. But you can see, so there's 3 lines, a green one, a blue one, and a red one. We have 1% churn, 2.5% churn, and 5% churn. That's all very, very low. And we'll get to, like I said, we'll get to good rates shortly. But you can see how it has a compounding effect over time on this business. So let me just say this before we jump into that specifically. If you need still help kind of like figuring out what the math would be, there's a brief little example here. So if you had 100 subscribers and 12 people cancel, or 12 people churn, that means you'd have a churn rate of 12%. So you need to find at least 12 people to stay at the same mark of 100 subscribers, right? If you're only growing by 10% month over month, and you churn 12% that month, that means you actually contracted 2%. Like, so even though you got 10 more subscribers with the 100, you still churn more than you gain. So your net churn, you could call it, would still be 2%. The goal would be is to have a negative churn, right? It would be to continue to grow. So you churn 10%, but you grow by 15%. And you can see this in the graph above. So the 5% churn, you can see, by about month 25, it looks like this business would have hypothetically gotten to about maybe 1,250 subscribers or so. And then right at that point, they bottom out, right? And it's flat. And it's not because it's not because they stopped growing. It's not because they stopped acquiring subscribers. It's because in this growth model here that Zoho put together, this business must have been only growing by 5%. So um, as that business got larger, that 5% was like more and more difficult for them to maybe reach up to, and so by month 50 or so, they're plateaued out. They're growing by 5% churn, or they're contracting by 5% churn, and they're getting 5% more in customer acquisition, which is why there's a straight line. It's not going down because they're still growing in the sense that they're still acquiring subscribers. Now compare that to the 1% churn curve. Look at that. By the end of 100 months, let's just say, so about the middle of the graph, it's almost got, actually it does, it has about triple the amount of subscribers. That compounding effect on success is really, really significant. I mean, you're looking at like I said, maybe 3x revenue. So if you have low churn for a long time, that means you're going to be much, much, much further ahead of yourself than if you had high churn for a long time. Obviously, this depends on the rate at which you're growing. For example, if that 1% churn business was only growing by 1% each month, it'd have the same curve as the 5%. But understanding this compounding effect and how taking this issue on as early as possible can affect your business, 50, 100, 150 months down the line, and 5 years from now, this is one of the most impactful things that you can do. Part of the reason here is because, and I just want to point this last point on here too, is as you get larger, that churn percent is more people. So think about that not just from kind of a static metric point of view, but in terms of like an operational point of view, from like, what do you actually have to do operationally to get that number of subscribers? If you churn 10% of 100 people, that's 10 people, right? We all probably feel pretty confident that we could go out there and get 10 more subscribers. What if we have a 10% churn rate when we have 10,000 subscribers? That means we have to go out there and get another 1,000 subscribers. Obviously, 10 is a lot easier to get than 1,000. So, this the kind of the implication of that metric, it becomes more impactful over time, in the sense that it becomes more of a challenge for your subscription business, because our business model relies on this monthly profit, this monthly recurring revenue. The rate of attrition is basically like rust for a subscription business. If it's the longer it goes on, the more of it's going to accumulate, and the harder it's going to be to make sure that your machine is well oiled and not contracting. Like I said, we don't want the attrition to overcome our growth. Okay, I think we all understand why churn's important now. So what is a good churn rate, objectively speaking? So the best that we've really seen here, and that we've read about with big subscription boxes, is somewhere between 5 and 15%. 5% was what BarkBox reported for their first year. If you're not familiar with BarkBox, they're a pet subscription. They're one of the largest subscription boxes out there, certainly the largest for animals. And they reported something like 5% churn for their first year, which is fantastic. That's like an ideal churn rate in my point of view. If you got 5%, you're doing something really, really right. Anything less than that is obviously great. We say here in the footnote, 8 to 12% churn rates is kind of like a really good sweet spot too. Obviously, as low as you can get it, the better. Your goal should be churned at 0%, but that's just not realistic. So if you're doing 16% or above, that's a little bit more of a cause for concern. So if you have higher than 10% some months, it's like not always a bad thing. It can be due to the season. It could be due to maybe like this one product that just didn't come through very good for you. It could be, due to a bunch of cards failing or something like that. Like when they put the chips in all credit cards, like there was churn. All churn went up for all subscription businesses. I'm certain of it. But it's not, if it's an occasional thing, it's not something that you should freak out about, but you should definitely be with your ear to the ground. And one of the things we're going to talk about today is how to really monitor this. Bad churn is 20% or more. If you're churning 20% or more of your customers each month, like I said, think of the work you have to do to go get that same number of customers. And if you want to grow, you have to gain more than that. So if you had 100 subscribers and you lost 20% of them, you have to go get 20 more people to sign up just to stay at 100. So when you're getting to the late teens or the high teens, 20%, more than 20%, it's time to take a step back and say, what did I do wrong last month? Let's figure out what it was, and let's figure out how we can address it. So now you might be asking yourself, how do we reduce churn? How can we prevent churn? And how can we study churn? It's this big bad wolf that we just made out, and for good reason, but we want to be proactive about it, obviously. So how can we do that? Before we jump into this next part here, I am going to ask you guys a question. Which is, what have you done to prevent churn? So, assuming you knew about this, or if you didn't, you could choose nothing yet. But assuming you're privy to the concept of churn, or at least you, even if you didn't know what it was called churn, you could still see that you were losing subscribers, and that's a bad thing. What have you tried to do? Have you tried to address this at all yet? Does it seem like a big issue for you? And I'll leave this up here for just a couple moments. Alrighty, thanks guys for voting on that. I'll show these. So it looks like about half of you, I'm not sure how this is 40, 40, 40, and 50%. Clearly we have GoToWebinar didn't do a great job calculating this math here because we have 170% worth of answers. But basically it looks like most of you haven't done anything, and it looks about 30% of you or so are kind of split between these three other ones. So this is great. It looks like you guys have. I mentioned this, and you guys are using surveys and satisfaction questionnaires. That's something I'm going to talk about here. Improve box quality. This is really cool. If you've done anything that's been super successful, maybe post in this question section. I can share it with everybody. But that's awesome. I'm glad to see so many of you have kind of taken a proactive approach to this problem. So let's jump back into this. And I just want to let you know I do see a couple questions come in here. Just post them in the question section. We'll get these really shortly. Okay, let's go back to presenting here. There we go. Okay, so the first step of addressing churn, I think, is setting a good foundation. And when I say setting a good foundation, it really starts with customer expectations. Expectations leads our satisfaction with anything. If you go to the store and you buy a shirt, a really nice shirt, and you expect that shirt to be like, oh, this is my nice new, button-down shirt. This is going to last me a long time. Like, I'm investing in this fancy piece of clothing because of whatever formal occasion I went to. If that shirt rips on you in like 2 days or something like that, you're going to be like, what the heck? Like, I just spent a bunch of money on this shirt, and it's a piece of junk. If you were to spend, a different amount of money on some other crappy shirt, you might not be surprised because you would have maybe expected it because it wasn't as nice of a shirt. The point is expectations are what drives our satisfaction. Almost more than the fact that there's a hole in the shirt, we would be more or less upset based on what we thought was going to happen to that shirt in the first place because of our rationale when we bought it and our understanding of the product when we bought it. So it's kind of a funny example, but the idea is how are you setting expectations as a business owner? How are you spelling out your product offering, your retail value, your value propositions, whether that's discovering things or getting access to crazy cool artisans, or what is it that you're selling subscribers? Not just the sense of which products do you think should be in the box, but what experiences are you giving them? What parts of the customer kind of pool of value propositions, what does that look like? And that's something that you should have thought about when you're building your business. Like, these are the things that are going to make people want to subscribe. And so, make sure you have like a list of that so you can focus on, here are these expectations I got to hit every single month. I got to make sure I stitch this shirt really nicely because the people have to spend a lot of money to buy it. Same idea. So, and then you got to follow through with your boxes. So fundamentally, before we do anything else, talk to anybody about it, do crazy remarketing campaigns, make sure you understand what your expectations are and make sure you're doing the execution right. Starting there will give you the ability to actually test a bunch of different things. And then you can know, is it the expectations that are wrong? Is it the execution that's wrong? How can you find that stuff out? But setting that foundation and making sure you're doing your product right is the first step to making sure you got good churn or churn under control. So one of the ways you can do this is to, right now, if you have high churn, is to send a survey out to subscribers. And we're going to go into this into more in depth later, but just getting feedback is a part of that. So if you've already built your foundation, it's a little shaky, immediately try to figure out what's going on here. Ask them about why they canceled, how the service could be improved, what they thought about it. Just do this anecdotally right now before we move on to the full method. I mean, if you can do that full method that we talked about later in the presentation today, then definitely do it. But start getting that feedback. And the reason why is because proactively reaching out to churn subscribers not only is going to give you a bunch of really cool data and good insight, but it'll make them feel valued. And that's really important for reasons, like I said, we'll discuss in a little bit here. So we know our product. We know we're doing our product right. What's next? The next thing is making sure customer experience in all ways is being taken care of. Remember early on how we said the mentality here is it's the tiny things that reinforce customers' loyalty. There's a relationship between experience and churn. One of the most important parts of experience is going to be when the customer is talking to you, because you have to focus so much on the product. It can kind of be easy to be like, oh, customer support isn't the number one thing. It's more important that I focus on my product, et cetera, or people can kind of wait. It's not that big of a deal, or whatever the rationale is. It's definitely not the case. Optimizing customer support is one of the most impactful things that you can do for customer experience, especially with your churning subscribers, which can be, some of the most valuable subscribers down the line. So one of the ways to do this is to get a third-party platform to help you manage customer service questions and emails and chats and calls and that type of thing. Zendesk is what I've been using for a couple of years. I think it's really great. There are a lot of other different options. I prefer Zendesk because it's got kind of the works, right? You can set up different views, different macros. It basically just connects directly to your email. So maybe it's help@mybrand.com. You'll get emails, you'll get chats, you'll get phone calls. You can filter all these things directly into Zendesk, and it skins it basically. So it makes it a lot easier for you to be more not only more effective, but more efficient with your time in dealing with customer support. So you can also connect also to Twitter, Facebook, and some other social network stuff too. So that's cool. When you give yourself this platform, and I think there's supposed to be another slide here. This is kind of part of step 2. It's same-day customer service. So now that you've given yourself this tool, you want to use it. By giving people same-day customer service, not only is what a lot of people expect. You can see a couple studies here. So Forrester Research found that 41% of consumers expect replies to emails within 6 hours. So that's almost 1 in every 2 of your training subscribers or people who just reach out to you are going to expect to reply within like half a day, which is pretty fast. So it might sound like a lot, and you can even see here too, 1 in 3 people on social media expect a response between 30 minutes. That's crazy fast. It sounds like a big goal, but you can totally do it, especially if you give yourself this tool right here. The way to do it is to give yourself the ability to answer questions quickly, and that involves a couple different things. The first one is macros, or pre-created responses. If you have canned responses to common FAQs that you get, even though you have an FAQ section on your site, but for whatever reason people always ask you, when do you ship? You can click a single button and answer that question. So reducing the amount of time you spend actually typing out answers can be one of the biggest time savers. When I first started Conscious Box back in 2011, I was doing customer service with my cell phone and through an Outlook, Microsoft Outlook on my computer. First of all, I don't know how I was using Microsoft Outlook because Gmail and Google Docs were so much better, are so much better. But that's how I was doing customer service. It was like just through my Outlook, and I had folders in my Outlook, and I would sort things. And as emails got in there, I would pull them to different folders, and then I would tackle things one folder at a time. I was basically manually creating like different tiers of tickets. I was manually sorting these tickets. I call them tickets or emails, and it took me forever. It took me so much longer. After I started using Zendesk, and after I spent more time figuring out how to optimize these channels, the amount of time I saved, I think I probably, for every 10 minutes I was spending on it before, I now spent 1 minute on it. So it's a game changer. Macros are one of the biggest ways. Like I just said, the pre-canned responses, having something that's automatically filled out. Filters, it's basically like what I just described with the folders. They are pre-sorted emails or tickets. So when something comes in with the word cancel in it, it will filter it to a specific view. Other things that are cool about Zendesk is there's triggers and automations. So you can have an immediate email go out as soon as somebody emails you. So someone emails support@subscriptionschool.com, and they immediately get an email back that says, "Hey, thank you. We've received your request. We'll back to you within the next 6 hours, since we know you like to, get emails within 6 hours. And here's a opportunity to call us, or here's a chat thing, or here's on social media, or whatever, if you want to give them any other kind of call to action there." And that alone, that type of feature really improves customer experience. And remember, there's that relationship between the customer experience and churn. They're intertwined. If you want to learn more about macros, filters, triggers, automations, there is a guide called Optimize Email Support that's on Subscription School. And you can just go to subscriptionschool.com. I'll show this to you guys since it might be kind of hidden in the back. Go to customer service, and it's probably at the bottom of the page. There we go, with this fine lady right here. And this goes through how to create them, some suggested views to create within Zendesk, different macros and prompts, how it works, different placeholders. It's a brief guide that kind of goes over some of the strategies here we're talking about. I suggest a couple different views, like, for example, high priority tickets. Anything that's over 24 hours old, those tickets need to be done. In Zendesk, you'll have a view that says these people have been waiting for a response for over 24 hours. Low priority tickets, which is maybe 24 hours old or lower. Cancel-related tickets, like I said, you can set up a view that pulls in all tickets that have the word cancel, canceled, end subscription, et cetera, et cetera. And then, take some time to go through this guide here and learn more about triggers and automations. I won't go into a ton of detail about it now because I want to get to the rest of the stuff. But they're really powerful tools. So if you're not using this, definitely jump into it and use it. And they're not that expensive either. I mean, it's like, gosh, I think it's like $15 a month starting with Zendesk, and I think there's some even cheaper options that are out there. So it's not going to break your bank, and it will save you a lot of time. So going on from that, let's jump back into this here. Another part of same-day customer service is just having superior customer service. So there's some certain tricks that I've picked up after doing this and doing hundreds of emails, thousands probably, is try to avoid just using negative words. So try not to say "unfortunately." Try to frame everything in a positive way. Always be very upbeat. When I was doing customer support, it's an industry that has one of the highest turnover rates for employees across the board. Customer support, whether it's a telecom company or your average kind of like mom and pop shop type of it, small and medium sized business, customer service jobs are some of the highest turnover rate jobs, and it's because it's really taxing, right? You're dealing with people when they're upset or when there's a problem, and one of the best ways that I found to diffuse it is to be constantly happy. You've got to be a happy person as you do customer support, because as you scale, especially when you get to 2, 3, 5, 10,000 subscribers, I mean, they're going to be that 1% of people who just, for whatever reason, had that bad experience. And it can be draining. So avoiding negative words, avoiding slang or short-term, phrases that kind of make it seem like you're just trying to get through something, like "gonna" or, obviously don't use text message speak. I don't even need to say that. But avoiding that stuff can not only help your own personality and be your happiness about the task, but also it can really affect the dynamic in the conversation. So be happy as you do customer support. Have a smile on your face, because it'll actually improve the quality of your customer support. And then also get some standards around, if a product is broken, I suggest sending a full replacement box. I mean, if you received a product in the mail from a company that you signed up to get this awesome curated experience from, and this jar of jam was exploded, you'd obviously be pretty upset about it. If that company gave you a brand new box, even though 3 of the 4 items weren't destroyed and totally usable, you'd probably be like, "Holy crap, this company is really sweet. I love this." And depending on what your product is, I'm not saying you might have your own cost of goods, but across the board that might have but the best answer. But I always err on the side of, let's take this bad experience and try to make it as great as possible. How can we go above and beyond in replacing this item to make sure that they're really, really happy with it? If, for example, if a subscriber canceled and then a box was sent, or you were supposed to cancel them, or obviously if there's any mistakes on your team, I'm always, like I said, I always kind of suggest that you just go the extra mile. So let's say maybe they canceled and they didn't realize their next shipment was still coming. If they make a big fuss about it and they're like, "Hey, I thought I canceled. I don't want this box. What the heck? I'm super angry at you. Rah, 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 rah." I'll just turn around and be like, "Hey, don't worry about it. we're going to give you a full refund. Please keep the box on us. We really hope you enjoyed the products inside. And it takes a lot less time. It really creates a cool, rewarding experience for a subscriber versus you having to like get all stressed out and argue with them email to email to email to email. Those things can take hours of your time, and it's just not worth the $15 it takes to mail someone a new couple products or let them keep a couple products. So I suggest coming around with some different standards along these things. You don't have to do like what I'm saying. It depends on what your budget looks like, what products are in your box, obviously. But approach it with that mentality. I mean, I guess that's what I'm really trying to say here is approach it with that mentality of reinforce customer loyalty. How is this an opportunity for me to make a customer experience even better than it possibly could have been? If I can turn this aggro person around and make them very happy, it's very likely that they're gonna push subscribers through by telling their friends about it, or they're gonna feel so compelled that they're gonna resubscribe, and that has happened on a mini occasion in my experience. So let's say we lose the subscribers anyways, right? They're out. How else can we kind of approach this problem of churn? One of the best ways is to remarket to churn subscribers. You almost can't. I'm just gonna say you can't get down to 0% churn. I think it would be very, very unlikely to sustain 0% churn in the sense that you don't have anybody canceling. Not saying that you're just growing it. You can grow, but no matter what, you're going to get people who cancel for whatever reason. You can always remarket to those people, and that's one of the most powerful things that you can do to reduce that churn. Because if you can pull those people back, their LTV is effectively turned back on. They've effectively kind of unchurned themselves. The subscription's been reopened. It still would have affected churn on those months, but if you can get customers or subscribers back into your ecosystem, then like I said, it turns our lifetime value back on. And when you're doing your calculations of lifetime value at the end of the year and you're looking at subscriber accounts, it'll automatically be in the right person's account. And you can calculate it as accurately as possible. So one of the ways you can do this is through MailChimp. You can go to your Cratejoy dashboard, filtered by cancel subscriptions, export all of those things. If you're not using Cratejoy, you can go to whatever platform that you're using. By the way, you should use Cratejoy, and then filter by canceled if it's possible to do that, and then export it, upload it into your MailChimp, and then create a canceled list. Oops, sorry about that. I think the audio just went out for a moment there. Let me see. So basically, what I was just explaining was you can export your subscriptions through Cratejoy or whatever tool you're using, upload it into your MailChimp, create a canceled list, and then you can email that list of people your promotions. So that could be specific call to actions that say, "Hey, come back for this code." It can be just normal marketing emails, sneak peeks, that type of thing. Maybe it's some unique deal for churn subscribers where they get like a free gift or something. But you can use that list now as its own unique leads list and give it its own unique value propositions and new offers and promotions to get them to come back to your subscription. Let me go back here. So we exit out this thing. So another thing that you can do here is put it into its own remarketing funnel. And so when I say a remarketing funnel, I mean create an automation in MailChimp. So rather than just having the one-off promotions go like we just described, when people get uploaded to the canceled list, for example, it can have an email that sends out 5 days after they've been canceled that says, "Hey, so sorry to hear that you canceled. Was there any reason for this cancellation? Please let us know. Here's a link to a form." Or, "Hey, we just noticed you canceled, but we want to give you this special gift as a parting gift, an extra 10% off your next box," or something like that. That automatically sends out within 5 days. And then 10 days after that, you have another email that says, "Hey, we miss you. We want to remind you that you had that 10% off your next box." And then another email that sends 25 days after that says, "Hey, don't know if you forgot, but we have that other 10% off your box." And those emails will send automatically. That'll be an automated thing that happens. So when you just add someone to that list, they get dropped in to the schedule there. And as those timelines hit them, MailChimp will send it out individually for each person. So if someone joins on Monday, they're on a different schedule than if someone joins on Wednesday that same week. It's nice because then you don't have to worry about scheduling emails to them all the time. You know that your automation is doing some work for you. So I definitely suggest doing that and checking out automation workflows in MailChimp. Let me see. I think we had a questions. I'll hold off on those other ones. Okay, let's go here. So part 5. So another way you can prevent churn is by making sure your subscribers are engaged. So, we talked about how to improve the experience, right? We talked about how to get them back once they left. One of the best ways, beyond just giving them the great customer experience with your support team, is to make sure they're really excited about their next shipment. And I think a great way of that is using teasers and spoilers. So on the right-hand side here, you can see a August sneak peek that the fine folks at Profitably put together for this last month. And I think it's a good example. I think people love the surprise element of monthly subscriptions. I think it's a main value proposition for a lot of people. But giving them an idea of what they're going to be getting can go a long way, especially for the people who maybe are more inclined to look for value in the box, or have highly special interests or something, and you know that one product always goes over really well with your demographic, or something like that. You can use teasers and spoilers to kind of pique people's interests. So I suggest choosing one of the higher value, more intriguing items in your upcoming box. Something that's going to be maybe not the hero item, or maybe it is the hero item, but it's a pretty substantial item. Something that's going to get people really excited about this. And you can use these teasers on social media. You can send them to canceled subscribers like we were just talking about. You can use them in email marketing to your unconverted leads list, so just like your pop-up subscribers or your normal marketing lists. You can give them to your customer support team, so they can include them in the macros, like a quick link that says, "Hey, sorry to hear you're leaving. Want to give you a sneak peek for this next one," or something like that, or whatever it might be. They can quickly reference to it for a lot of different cases, actually. Other than that, you could do teaser landing pages. This is a really cool idea that I think this Business Yogi Surprise has executed really well. It's a dedicated landing page that will be like, yogisurprise.com/August sneak peek. And then it's just a page that basically shows the sneak peeks, and then there is a call to action to subscribe, so that they can use this not only to show their existing subscribers and keeping them excited, but also to directly market. So in their unconverted leads campaign, they can send an email that links them directly to this teaser page versus the normal website. And then they had an email about the teaser, they click through, they're on the teaser page, and they can check out right there. And the checkout button will just take them to the normal checkout. So you could totally do this with Cratejoy, just build a unique page. It'd be a custom thing to do, but I think it's a really cool idea, and from what I've heard, it was really effective with them. Also, email marketing here on the right-hand side. So use those teasers in email marketing. These are some good examples here, like from Yogi Surprise 2, where it shows the box and a couple things that you can expect in the box. Maybe not, like I said, maybe it's not the biggest, highest value item, but it's something that's going to really intrigue people. Like, I think this Yogi cookie cutter probably wasn't the most expensive item in that month's box. I imagine cookie cutters can't be that expensive, but that's actually really cool. Like, I look at that and I'm like, oh, that's a good gift. That's actually that intrigues me. So I think that's a good example. So use those sneak peeks, use different things, whether it's a theme announcement or a any type of cool things that you can get people excited about the incoming shipment. Maybe it's a bonus item, maybe it's a a special promotion or something like that. Use those types of teasers and spoilers to get people interested and keep people who are already subscribed engaged. Okay, so this should say part 6. Yes, it should say part 6. Part 6 is listen to subscribers. So we talked about a lot of different things, and we even mentioned this earlier about how to kind of start to gather some data from existing subscribers and people who are churning. This is something that I think you should do obsessively. So throughout your monthly campaigns, you should be surveying existing and churned subscribers. So it's not just a matter of just listening to people who have churned, but to all people, even the people who are happy, because you want to hear who are happy too. So really cool thing, Cratejoy has this feature for free. It's a new feature. When you process your shipments, it'll create a dialog box that says, "Would you like to send feedback?" And there's a little link in it that says, "What is this?" basically. and I suggest you guys go and read it if you haven't used it yet. If you've seen that dialog box come up and you haven't checked the box, definitely take some time to read about it and use it. It's a great tool, and it's totally for free. Um, if you want to get more detailed information, and the Cracho example is actually at the bottom, so you can see what it looks like here. It's a 5-star rating, and then it says, what can we do to improve the product for you? So it's not super in-depth, but I think it's, basically gives you a net promoter score and gives you the opportunity for some qualitative feedback, which is the short answer. If you want to get more information than this, you could build nice surveys with Wufoo or with Typeform or with Google Survey, and you could ask much more in-depth questions like, upload your packing list and then have, product number 1. How would you rate this product? What was your favorite thing about this product? What was your least favorite thing about this product? Product 2, how would you rate this product? You could go like much more in depth, and that can be cool for a couple different reasons. Not just because it's going to give you good direction in terms of the products you're sourcing and the customer experience behind the box, but also that's cool information to share with the brands, and that I think is one of the coolest leveraging points for getting procurement costs down, is by saying, hey brand, I'm going to survey customers about your product. I'm going to get you a bunch of really cool feedback, and if you want to lean test a new product with us, if you want to just learn about what people think about this new body oil of yours, like, this is like a really cool way to do it, and we can do that with my subscription business. Let's put your product in the hands of 500 people and then ask them all what they thought about it. So I think it's really compelling. And there's some more question examples here, like, did you like this product? Would you like to see it again? Would you like to see more items like this or fewer items like this? So there's a couple different ways that you can really drill into this. And seriously, you should be surveying your subscribers. It's actually really, really crazy how few subscription businesses do this. I think people see it as like a nuisance. Like, I don't want to email people because it reminds them to cancel, or I don't know exactly how to do this, or it seems difficult, or, insert reason here, basically. If you look at this graph here, on the right-hand side, under product feedback rating given, on the 5, you can see the lifetime value. So LTV is lifetime value. That's the average value your subscribers will have across the course of their subscription. So this is with a $35 product, which is the average price of subscriptions. We scraped a bunch of data from thousands of subscriptions, and the average price basically is $35. So this should be closely indicative for your business, unless you're vastly higher or lower. But the importance is the same. You can see that the higher the product feedback rating given, the higher the LTV. Naturally, this might be what you expect. The happier people are with your product, the longer they're going to subscribe, right? Yes, that's true. This data would prove that this is true. But look how significant that is. People who rate the product as 1, $67. People who rate it as 5, $350. That's insane. If you could get every single person in love with your product like that person is on the 5 section, everybody would have a multiple of more value. Even people who rate it as 2 will have more than 3 times as much value if you can get them happy about the product. That's crazy. And that implication for your lifetime value and the revenue that drives your business should be, if nothing else, the biggest motivating factor of today's webinar. This is going to directly impact your bottom line. And like I said, we even showed this chart earlier too, right? On how there's this compounding effect on growth. This compounding effect on growth is important. It's the lower the churn, the faster you're going to grow. But the lower the churn, because the happier the customers, also means the higher the lifetime value. So, churn just plays this, like I said, extremely impactful role in your subscription business, whether that's helping demonstrate customer satisfaction. Like we can see here, the higher the satisfaction, the lower the churn, and the higher the value of the customer, or whether it's how that impacts growth, in the sense that the lower the churn, the easier it is to grow, because you have to get fewer subscribers to make up the attrition that happened within the last 3 days. So at this point, you should be asking yourself, like, oh my gosh, like, what do I need to do? How do I get started on this? Let's jump into an assignment. Today's Thursday, August 25th. Cannot believe how fast the year is going by. Ugh. So next Thursday, on September 1st, send out an email. So I want you to create a Zendesk account if you haven't already. If you have, create some views, some macros, understand some basic triggers and automations. Get a canceled list going in MailChimp. So you'll want to, have your subscriptions exported, know who's a churn subscriber. Maybe scrape that list, make sure you don't have any churn subscribers who you're going to start remarketing to if they may have opened up a new subscription. So make sure you create a clean, scrubbed list in MailChimp, and then send out an email to them. Send out a come back and save email. Do something to remarket to them. I think this is the first step. There's a couple other action items that you can do, and I'm going to leave these action items up as we go through some of these questions here. So set up a Zendesk account, create some basic shortcuts, use Cratejoy's tool. That's the other thing. Is now that we talked about gathering data from subscribers and gathering feedback and the importance of that feedback, use Cratejoy's tool. It's like I said, it's a checkbox you click when shipments happen. There's no reason that you shouldn't use it. Subscribers will be happy to give you feedback, and obviously not everybody is going to, but you can start to use that feedback you do receive to make your product better. And the better your product, the higher the LTV. So do that, or go through Wufoo, SurveyMonkey. If you want to do something, you want to build out like a really comprehensive form and get a bunch of feedback because you want to deliver that to vendors to get your wholesale prices down. Do that. That'd be an awesome idea. With customer service, create some standards, replacements, missing items. How are we dealing with these different things? What's the protocol for these different things? So you can make sure that either you feel empowered to do this, give them that free replacement box, or your staff feels empowered to do it and they don't have to bring every single question to you. Create that cancel list in MailChimp. Create an automation for that list, like the welcome flow, or not the welcome flow, but the churn flow, where it reminds them every couple days of this code or whatever it might be. Do all these action items and you'll be on your way to really reducing your churn. Before I get to your questions, this just kind of popped up in my head here. I was talking to a merchant who was applying some of these strategies in the last couple months, and they actually reduced their churn from over 20% to like around 10 or 11% on average now each month after doing the things that they watched in this webinar. And it was really cool. We're actually working on a piece about it. So if you're in subscription school, keep an eye out for the importance of churn guide that's going to be coming out soon. But they reached out and they're like, hey, I want to let you know that we did those things in that webinar and our churn reduced by 50%. It's like we're canceling half as many people as we normally would. And when you look at that how that is probably affecting their growth, it's super important, super impactful. So let me go ahead and answer some of these questions. Jim asks, is the number we see on Cratejoy dashboard the net or the gross churn? That's a good question, Jim. I think that is going to be your gross churn. I think it's going to look at it looks at the last 30 days, and it looks at how it looks at how many people have canceled since that shipment, I believe, or in that last batch of your subscribers. I think that's how it's calculated, actually, but honestly, I don't know. So that's a great question. Let me make a note of that, and I will I'll circle back with the team. The webinar is being recorded. It'll be available in the video section of Subscription School. So it's up at the top here, and it'll be just one of these videos here that you can get. And then okay, yeah, for the infographic, if you just go to Subscription School and you type in the search here, infographic, or no, what am I thinking? Not infographic. You type in churn. There will be a guide right here, infographic, how to reduce subscriber churn. And this is the infographic that I suggest you download and just share it with your team, read through it yourself. It's a cool interactive way to learn more about churn, and it's got some cool graphs to show you how important churn is and basically stuff that we covered today. Take a moment, check this out. I do think it'll be helpful for you guys. Jordan asks, do you have any hunches or theories for advanced churn reduction strategies, perhaps something that may have even required a decent dollar investment? I'm not saying what you presented today isn't the low-hanging fruit, just curious on how deeply you pondered the subject. My marketer and I are considering multiple ways we can add value to the box. For example, an insert for us runs around 20 cents each. There's no reason we shouldn't be able to come up with some ways to add value through more inserts. Any ideas along those lines? Jordan, absolutely. Now, this is a really good point. I don't really go into any other strategies because it usually takes about 60 minutes to get through this, but Jordan's spot on right here. So, Jordan, there's a couple things that you can do, and I'm happy to give you some suggestions. Number one, there are some really cool services out there, and you could do this yourself, that help re-engage churn subscribers in physical ways. So consider this for a moment. You have all of your churn subscribers' addresses, right? You've they've given you permission to mail them. So it could be postcards. There could be some cool ways to kind of get something in their hands, not just online through like an email. That's very, very cheap to do. And that can I've never tested it. I've talked to business owners who have, and I've heard it with varying effects of success. It really depends on how you track it. But by sending like a postcard or something like that with a sneak peek, like actually, I mean physically printing like a sneak peek or some type of like cool little postcard, and spending 15 cents or so per stamp, depending on how cheap you can get your postage. Sending it out to a couple hundred people will get a lot of people re-engaged because they just might miss the email, or email marketing is really effective, but sometimes getting something actually in someone's hand and doing remarketing in a physical way can be powerful. I think in terms of stuff inside the box, um, absolutely. I mean, if you are sorting out your canceled subscribers when you're packing each month, so this depends on what your fulfillment operation looks like. For example, if you were to pull out the labels that are going to people who this is their last box, absolutely throw something in there. Whether that's like an extra coupon code, or maybe something that's of some extra value to them for some reason, something to kind of juicing that up. Some call to action basically in the box to either get them to resubscribe or to give you that feedback about why they canceled. That's a great idea. Like I said, you'll have to do some operational stuff to make sure you're sorting it out to the right people. But yeah, I think doing anything proactive in terms of getting something physical in hands, I think is a good idea. Both if that means sending a postcard or just adding more inserts in the box. Um, Outside of that, there's other ways that you can use churned subscribers for either reaching them directly or having them give you a good sense of who they are and what type of customers they are. So, and what I mean by this is you could, for example, export all of your churned subscribers, pull that list into something like Facebook, and then directly remarket to those people and their friends. So not only are you going to put your product in front of them, again, which could help get them back, which would be a strategy that does require a decent dollar investment. Or you can, if those people were high value churn subscribers, doing a remarketing list or a lookalike audience with those people, you're hitting the right people. Like you export your most valuable subscribers when they hit that beautiful LTV of $350, and you create a lookalike audience through Facebook. That isn't going to necessarily address the churn itself because those people would have already been canceled, but it's a neat tool that you can use with your data on churn to grow your business. So let me know, I guess, if that answers your question. I think that there's a lot of cool strategies that you can do, and there are definitely a lot of services that I've seen that have come up that say, hey, let us help you remarket back to your canceled subscribers. Other things that you can do similar to this, Jordan, I guess I would say, one more suggestion would be having something like an abandoned cart plugin for your site, so Cart Hook or something like that. Not really the same thing, but it's people who didn't check out. Kind of emulating how you would approach that problem with having like emails that immediately go out that say, hey, we're sorry that you just canceled your subscription. Here's an extra 10%. Or, if people can self-cancel their subscription on your site, having some prompt that comes up that makes them answer that poll or gives them some incentive before they cancel. There are other ways definitely you can try to kind of tinker with churn in those cases. So we only had a few questions. That was it. I hope we covered everything. I'm going to ask you guys really quick. Have you surveyed subscribers before? And there's one more question of this too, if you guys wouldn't mind sticking around and telling me. And Jordan, yeah, you're welcome. Sorry if I rambled a little bit there, but I hope it was helpful for you. So I'm going to go ahead and close this poll, and then let me ask you this next question: do you intend on start surveying, or to start surveying? Excuse me. Well, looks like everybody is definitely into surveying. We got 100% on that poll. All right. let me ask you this as one last question I have for you guys, and thanks for sticking around answering these questions for me. If you guys have anything else that's top of mind right now about churn or how to impact churn or anything else at all, feel free to leave some more questions. I'm happy to wrap it up a couple minutes early here, but I want to make sure you guys have full use of my time here. So this is, what do you believe the source of churn to be? The question here is, why are people canceling your box? Is it because there are failing credit cards, like expiration dates? Do you think it's I don't want to say benign reason, but do you feel like it's something kind of out of everybody's control? Is it that could even be them not having the cash for it, so maybe it's a price point issue or something like that. Is it product quality? Do you think that you're just not getting the right products in it? Is it operational missteps? You shipped late, or your boxes are keep breaking, or something like that? Or maybe you're unsure. So I'll leave this up here for just a couple more seconds. Only a small portion of you guys have voted on this one. Okay, that works. All right, so that's it. Like I said, make sure to check out some stuff on Subscription School. Please come and be a part of our Facebook group if you're not already. Would love to chat with you guys there about churn. I would love to hear your questions. There's a lot of cool subscription business owners in that group who are always willing and able to help each other. Make sure you grab the handout today. That's the PDF in the GoToWebinar control panel on the right-hand side of your screen. That has all the slides from today. And in a couple days here, this webinar will be live on Subscription School in the video section. So if you want to get more information about churn or you want to rewatch this webinar, head over to Subscription School. You'll get more information. Thank you guys again for coming today. I hope this stuff was helpful for you. And please give me a brief exit survey when you leave. You'll be hit with a couple questions. Let me know how we did. What you guys want to learn next. It's the end of August, so in September we're going to be doing our webinar calendar coming up pretty soon here. And as you guys know, I always ask you, what do you want to learn next? So please let me know what sounds like a cool topic to you, whether that's going back to Google Analytics or fulfillment or custom packaging or more marketing stuff or more churn stuff or surveying stuff. Whatever it is, let me know. Otherwise, I will see you guys next time we do a webinar. See you later. Have a good day. Bye.